What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. We just be getting way too much Control news and details right now. With State of Play, Summer Games Fest, Remedy has just appeared to take the faucet and just completely opened it, and they're just giving us everything we could possibly want with regarding trailers for this game, details, and so there's a lot of coverage on Resonant right now, post Summer Games Fest or Summer Game Fest, and I've seen a lot of footage going around, and I haven't really peeked at too much of it, but there is a there's what was it? There's a 14-minute interview with the team or the leads behind Control Resonant on Gamespot. So we're gonna watch that today. We're gonna react to it, listen, contemplate some things. I'm definitely gonna do a replay of Control before Resonant comes out, by the way. So I'm probably gonna actually started a replay of it earlier this year, and then a bunch of other games came out. So I'm gonna actually come back to that. But I'm really excited for this game. Let me know in the comments what you're looking forward to. Are you gonna play this on release? Are you gonna wait? Are you like wary of the new style? Let me know. I would love to have a discussion about this. I'm a big fan of Control, huge fan of Alan Wake and Alan Wake 2. And honestly, Souls games, action games are the ones I really gravitate towards because of how just visceral combat is, and like just I'm excited about what I can do within all of that. So I'm really excited, extremely excited with the direction that Resonant is taking, and I have full trust in Remedy pulling this off and it being a fantastic game. But without further ado, let's watch the 14-minute interview talking about Resonant and its development. You get to walk around in the sweatsuit for a bit?
You're watching Gamespot's coverage of Summer Game Fest 2026, and it's my pleasure to be joined by Mikhail and Elmer, director and art director on Control Resonant.
Art director
Thank
too.
you so much for joining us.
Great to be here.
How does it feel to have your game out there now and have more people looking at it?
It's super weird. It's been 7 years, and honestly,
It's been the longest that I forgot Control was 2019.
A project. Alan Wake might have been like the almost equally long and so on, but yeah, it's been a long while, and it's a moment that is
you have to learn Finnish for this game.
I'll be honest, but it's also very exciting to see how people are reacting to it.
Yeah, I guess the starting point for this is obviously you make Control 1, and there's kind of
that,
like
I have not seen this gameplay.
You want to prove yourself with that game, right? And you have now, and now you have the follow-up. What's the kind of motivation factor that you're coming into
fast,
the
dude.
sequel with, and in both of your disciplines, what is your like objective with this follow-up?
To me, what's important is that it feels unexpected. So there's something fresh in it, but still it's distinctively Control. So it feels like kind of returning home, but then at the same time, like, hell yeah, there's like something new here, something exciting, something unexpected, and something
like Devil
that
May
people
Cry.
can sink their teeth into.
Yeah, and how about for you, Emery?
Yeah, well, I have been saying that we're standing on the shoulders of an aesthetic giant. So
yes.
Of course, we both worked on Control, but there's some award-winning world building and like art direction in that one as well. So definitely big shoes to fill, and we have to make sure that we stay weird enough and
yeah, it looks sufficiently weird. I think y'all are good.
That is the kind of like, obviously it makes sense that you want to do the unexpected, but you've done so much unexpected stuff. Like, it's such a weird first game that how do you top that? How do you come up with ideas that you can be confident that this is something that people will look at and be like, whoa?
To me, what was important is right out of the gate, like when the sequel comes out, people understand the nature of the franchise. Because the thinking early on was that this
the
is
way that it,
Remedy's
like the perspective
RPG
changes is
franchise.
sick. Oh, we got menus,
and part of that philosophy
combat
is
abilities.
that with every game there is a new perspective into the world. Part of that.
I need to go back and look at this.
This is Remedy's RPG
Okay, so Barrage, you get to throw rocks.
franchise.
Seekers summoning an increasingly volatile telekinetic entity. Oh, so maybe there's like some residual hiss stuff that Dylan can do.
And part of that philosophy
Oh, never mind. That is not. It doesn't really look like that.
is that with every game there is a
And then a shield just using rocks.
new perspective into the world.
Interesting.
And the world itself is something that is kind of evolving, and there are new supernatural disasters kind of happening and so on, but we get a new fresh perspective into it. And we wanted this to feel unexpected, as said. So for us to be able to really hold on to that philosophy, we had to kind of show that it means something with the sequel. And as I said before, at the same time, it needs to feel authentically Control at the same time.
Yeah. How about you?
Well, since the concepting phase, we have basically walked this balancing act of what existing things.
Dude,
can
him
we
walking
keep
around in the
as
sweatsuit
and
is
what
so
can we
funny.
keep,
It
what
looks
we
so
need to evolve
silly.
a bit, and what is something that doesn't actually or necessarily make any sense in this game anymore, because it's many things are still changing.
Yeah, I think one of the big unexpected points for a lot of the people who on the outside, people who enjoy the games, was the switch to a kind of more melee combat focus. That was unexpected for us. How was that something that you always planned, and what was the thinking behind that?
Having the idea of a shifting protagonist is something that allows us to keep things fresh, and we wanted to use that as much as possible. So, and looking at the siblings, Jesse and Dylan, the thinking early on was that they are like each one like other sides of the coin. So if Jesse uses a gun, then of course Dylan uses a melee weapon.
That's fair.
It all made sense in the kind of a larger scheme of things, where the siblings form this kind of a yin-yang.
The fuck is that thing?
And melee is cool. It's fun.
It is.
It's
not
something
wrong.
that has been on my mind for a long while. Like with the first Control game, we wanted to make sure that telekinetic combat is like just awesome. With this game, it was melee combat that we really kind of wanted to push as much as we could. And it's a new exciting thing for the studio as well. And it's actually something that I think people, like, sure, there was like some anxiety and nervousness, like, are we gonna be able to pull it off? But then at the same time, I remember
There's a
like talking with
quest line?
animators,
Okay.
and they were like super excited to kind of jump into it. And
I'm looking at the HUD and everything.
Exactly.
There's a
It feels
mini
like it was
map.
this kind of a pent-up desire to do something else, something that really pushes the animation team in a certain type of a way. So they were thrilled. And of course, it's been a lot of work, but I feel like the whole team has been really invested in making sure that it's as cool as it can be.
Yeah, and for you as an art director, what was it about that switch that was particularly exciting for you that you wanted to try and pull off with it?
Well, one thing for sure visually has been that Jesse's service weapon was really cool, but it's still roughly the same silhouette and size always, and in a wide third-person camera, it oftentimes actually is obstructed by Jesse's body as well. So what we are now able to do with the Aberrant specifically is like really exaggerate. It can split into two, or it
feels
can
so
become like
much
a
more open.
ludicrously large hammer, for example, and the fact that it can change and become something that Dylan needs in the moment can actually kind of surprise him occasionally as well. So he might lose his footing and get surprised of like what the hell is happening right now with this. So the
I
fact
wonder
that we
how
play
like
around
much
not
you
just
can
with the
change
silhouette
the
of
weapon
but
yourself,
the
or is it
silhouette
just kind of
the
like you get what
Dylan
you
and
get?
the weapon, and have them move around almost like a couple dancing in the fast-paced melee. That's been super nice to explore.
That's cool. Another unexpected thing that the game is doing is casting for what is on paper a character that has all the makings of a villain as a hero. What does that allow you to do, and kind of what can people expect from Dylan's narrative journey or character journey, given his difficult history?
I'm very interested
Yes,
to
Dylan
see what they're going to do with
had
Dylan.
Definitely a complicated and difficult life. He was separated from his sister when he was 10 years old, lost his parents. He has had no friends, no real connections in life. And for years, he was like under the control of the FBC. Then when that went
Is she just
horribly
going to be
wrong,
like with
because
him the whole
FBC
time,
didn't really
like
know what they
kind of
were doing.
subconsciously?
When that went wrong, then the HISC came in, took him over, and he caused hundreds of people to die.
There was someone who commented on a previous reaction that I had that they thought that Jesse was going to be like the trench to Dylan in this, and I think that's a really, really interesting concept. Very interesting way of kind of like having your main character be there all the time from the previous game, but not necessarily needing to have two playable characters. So it's a really smart way of doing it. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but that would make sense. Like, she's acting director now, so it would kind of make sense having that parallel between the two games. But yeah, I just wanted to say that and not interrupt them anymore, because based on that scene, that's the vibe that I get, or at least that little footage that I saw.
and then Jesse comes in, cleanses him, then he falls into a coma. So for the third time, he's now trapped in his own mind for 7 years, and then he wakes up. So he's gone through quite an arc. And what was important to us was that Dylan feels also a little bit unexpected in the sense that, yes, you've seen the character in the first game, and he definitely comes across as a villain possessed by this force and so on. Very evil, like, you know, with the grin and like whatever he kind of was pushing for with that incantation and so on. And to me, it was very important that when we see Dylan here, there's a surprise. You know, when he wakes up and so on, show almost the opposite of who he was in the past. And I think the expectation can easily be that there's a lot of pent-up anger and there's kind of a volatility to him and so on. But we didn't feel like that's the kind of a right angle for this character. Instead, he is contemplative. He's processed a lot of this stuff that has happened. He's been 7 years in his own mind, essentially, like in the midst of his own thoughts and processing, reflecting, and so on. Yet he has this guilt that he's carrying, and he's lost like sense of worth, basically, of himself. He thinks of himself as a tool, as a weapon almost, that can help and do something, and he definitely doesn't see himself as a hero. And through the journey, of course, that's something that is part of that whole arc, is that he slowly starts to build up that confidence in himself. And to me, it's just refreshing to have a character who is not your typical, you know, hero who is confident and this kind of a stoic or even like a brooding male stereotype type of a thing. Instead, he's quite emotional. He's like ready to talk about his feelings, and he understands fully what he's done. He's carrying that guilt and taking responsibility of that, and just genuinely wants to help. And yet he's also at the same time a villain. Like, all the people around him know what he did, and they don't trust him easily, and Dylan doesn't really trust them either. But
because what the FBC did.
So, as an art director, how do you take all of that nuance and kind of manifest it visually? And obviously Jesse feels comparatively like a much cleaner character. And I think a lot of that is also visible in the style, like the starkness and the kind of like shapes of the first game. How do you kind of manifest your art style through that character?
It's been a really exciting exploration with our concept artists and character artists. How can we take something?
Dude,
like
that level looks
Dylan was
fucking
portrayed
crazy.
In the original Control, he was basically a victim and quite deflated and didn't necessarily.
It's
even
crazy how
have
it's just a
eyebrows.
click of a button
So
and it's
how
just
we
like,
take
yeah, you can
something
be on the
like
walls
that
now.
and then turn him into eventually somebody who feels more heroic and protagonistic, and somebody that you would actually want to play, a person who has like courage and resolve. Then the team has semi-jokingly been saying that if Jesse is a cat, Dylan is a dog, then Jesse is this focused boss lady, the big sister with all the answers, and Dylan is maybe then a little bit more expressive and
I love that.
And fights dirty with the aberrant as well. And there are many aspects of the game that actually then ended up being influenced by this. For example, even like music direction, we have, if in Control we had a lot more electronic and droney songs basically, now we're looking a lot more into, or have been looking into human sounds and how we can treat
I've been hearing that in the trailer a lot.
differently. Or
Trailers.
if you're using instruments, they are instruments that you can hear the player play actually. And for example, in cinematics we have more handheld shots just to retain some of this organic feel.
And
I think
that's so
that's
interesting.
a great point about the character. Like when we
just, like,
compare
bleeds
the
through everything.
siblings, Dylan is like, he lives in the moment. He's not necessarily a person who is like thinking like long term. I'm sure that the past is something that, you know, weighs on him. He has trauma and so on. Whereas Jessie is she's a born leader. She thinks about like plans and so on. She takes risks when they need to be taken and so on. Way more collected. And Dylan is more maybe expressive, emotional in the moments and so on. Doesn't always have a plan, but he kind of is always capable of figuring out in the moment on how to kind of get through it.
Right.
And the kind of artistic side of him, like if you look at these siblings, Jesse is more the director, leader, sometimes quite calculating as well, like an engineer, very smart, and Dylan is the artist, like who is like more about feels and vibes.
And naturally, with these RPG elements comes.
I gotta look at this again.
Feels and vibes.
And naturally, with this RPG
Okay, crush, slowest attack speed, high damage output. Huh. So choose this aberrant form.
elements come.
And there's different damage types. There's blunt, there's falter. Oh, blunt, sharp. I don't know what falter is. Maybe it's like a stagger bar or like their version of a stagger bar. So extend, very long reach, can hit multiple targets. Attacks can be charged.
Character customization.
So it's more like a whip.
By
And then this is more like just straight up a drill. But you gotta like be direct with it.
far the deepest character customization options in this game than basically any Remedy game combined so far.
And if people, and I know that when people see him waking up, everybody's like thinking about.
Also, I saw Zoe's
like,
name, and I'm
that's
assuming
on
Zoe
me.
was one of the characters we saw
Because what I
earlier with the
wanted,
gun.
there's a reason for it, and it wasn't really about Alan Wake. It was about, I wanted to, because what his does to you
Fuck,
is
this
like
looks
you
nuts.
lose all, hair, like
Yeah.
all like hair on the body, and so on. That's what he looked like with no eyebrows and nothing. So it was important to me that when we see him wake up, it's like full hair, like we see the human in him
Right, yeah.
that has kind of expressed itself and so on. And,
But you're saying a
he
bald
gets his
person can't
hair
seem
very
human?
well later on, but, yeah.
Final question, and only makes sense to continue the theme of unexpected. What is more unexpected than having to face the consequences of your action? How much is that a part of the narrative? Obviously, characters like Dr. Darling, they are beloved and they are treated as quirky, fun characters, but they're also the people behind the horrors that Dylan has faced. So how much of that is important to the narrative you're telling?
Extremely important. It's a fundamental part of the journey.
Imagine-
that Dylan, has to make. He needs
Imagine
to
he's the villain.
understand his past before he can face things in the future. So it is integral to the story. And Dr. Darling is an extremely interesting character. I think we saw one side of him in the previous game, but like all people, there are many dimensions to us, and we'll learn more about Dr. Darling as well.
Oh,
Very excited
dude.
to play more of the game and
Dude!
get more into that world and see what happens with Dylan. And everyone else will be able to check it out in September too. Exciting times, but keep it locked on GameSpot because we'll probably have
This is
more
a really
Control
good interview.
Resonant coverage coming on the way.